and welcome back to the program. My next guest has been referred to historically by late American radio legend Barry Farber as a political savant. And I would agree. How do you become a political savant? It's one thing to have your finger on the pulse to be able to predict and feel what's going on. It's another to have the guts to get out and say it preemptively. That's how people know that you are a political savant. And my next guest is one, Josh Bernstein. He's one of the most censored talkback hosts in America. He's also the author of the book, Preserving Liberty, Bold and Brave Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom. His website is jbushow.com. I would absolutely suggest you get on there. Josh Bernstein, welcome to the program.
It's great to be back on the program with you.
Mate, where do we start? So much has happened.
What has happened? It's been a slow news day.
What were you doing on Saturday when you learned of the Trump shooting?
I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. I was at a mall, and we were leaving the mall, and my wife ran in to grab a cheesecake for my mother's 78th birthday that we were heading on over to. And my videographer contacted me, John, and he goes, where are you right now? And I said, I'm at the mall. He goes, you heard what happened? I'm like, no, what happened? He goes, Trump got shot. I went, what? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, turn on Fox News right now. And so obviously I didn't get a chance, but I grabbed my phone and I saw the video and I saw all about it. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I just honestly just sat there, waited for my wife to come out. We got the cheesecake to go to my mom's. I was already shaken up, and we said a prayer right there in the parking lot of the mall, praying to God that he was going to be okay. And, there was some divine intervention here. And we're very thankful that we did not lose our great president.
Mate, I would agree on the divine intervention, literally inches away. That turn of the head, that flick of the head at the right moment could literally be the reason we're not having a very, very different conversation right now. And as I suggested yesterday, this could, as a result, be a good thing. His security has been ramped up significantly. I'm not seeing as many token hires, a lot less females who, absolutely just went to water when this happened. I just couldn't believe it. This push to have them by 2030 be up to 30% of the Secret Service. You can comment on that if you like as well. But, mate, I just hope in light of this now very significantly promoted, if you will, threat to Donald Trump from Iran, mate, I'm just smelling, and as someone who I know you are, one of these political savants, mate, I'm smelling potential false flag all over this. And I just hope Trump stays indoors. I hope he doesn't get out there for a while. I know he is. I would like him to rethink it.
Yeah, look, I think what you said is right on point. First and foremost, the Iranian assassination ploy or plot, I think that's garbage, number one. It comes from the communist news network, CNN, as we call it. And it's a diversion to try to take the blame off of where the blame should be. And that is the radical left in America, perhaps around the world, calling President Trump Hitler, calling President Trump a threat to democracy, which I hate using that word because America is not a democracy. It's the constitutional republic. I always tell people, really, when they say a democracy, I always tell people, do me a favor and recite the Pledge of Allegiance and stop at the part when it says to the republic for which it stands. And so I always correct people on that. But the bottom line here, and this is what I've been saying on a lot of different shows, is to me, this looks like an inside job. And I will say that. Okay, I have no problem saying it. And if you look at the amount of people, right, as many as 40 people saw this guy army crawling around on the top of the roof. Now we find out that the snipers were actually inside the exact building while this guy's up on the top crawling around. They allowed him, in my opinion, to take this shot. And this is starting to look a lot like Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy for the CIA. This is starting to look like this Crooks guy was the patsy for either the regime or the Secret Service, because it doesn't make sense. They have seen this guy. They saw him. He pulled out a distance finder in front of some of the Secret Service, but yet this guy was allowed to get off a shot. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is that they allowed this person to take this shot. And, look, thank God he turned his head. And isn't it ironic that one of the main things about President Trump that he's fighting about is closing our border. And ironically, he's looking over at an illegal immigration chart, and that saves his life.
You can't make this stuff up. We had a caller call into the program yesterday, and he had serious doubts as to how legitimate this situation was. One Thomas Matthew Crooks, we are to believe that he grabbed his dad's rifle, that he grabbed some ammunition from home, that he went down to a local hardware store and bought a ladder, and just on a whim proceeded to go and get onto this building, to go unnoticed. And then when he did, for a further more than 2 minutes, was allowed to lie there, take aim, and subsequently shoot at, narrowly missing killing, but certainly striking Donald Trump. It just doesn't ring true.
It doesn't. And here's the other part of this. We have to understand that Joe Biden and the Democrats and the Biden regime purposely diverted Secret Service protection from that rally. And think about this rally if you don't know America. This area of Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, Allegheny County, Butler, Pennsylvania, is very rural. It is very open spaces. There's a lot of wooded area, woods and things like that. A lot of places for people to hide, and such. So I believe that this one was probably picked, this rally in particular. So the question now remains is, who hired him? Because I don't believe he's working alone. And when did they do this? And I have said to some people here in America that we need some Freedom of Information Act requests. That's where you basically put in a legal requirement to get public records. And I would like to see a Freedom of Information Act request from the Butler Police Department, all of their emails, all of their communications, all of their phone records. I'd like to see the exact same thing with the U.S. Secret Service, all of their communications, all of their emails, all of their phone records. And I'd like to see it also through the Biden campaign and Biden regime, emails, phone calls, communications, because I believe, again, and I'll say this, I believe that there's no way this kid at 20 years old was able to take this shot with all of these people seeing him. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
It doesn't. I love that you're like me. You like to go on record. You like to preempt things. And when you have a history of being right time and time again, we are spurred on to continue to do so. We know how they go about getting us to where we are in, let's say, 2024 from where we were in 1984. It is by distraction. It is by division. And distraction is where I want to focus right now. At the moment, we are strongly focused on protecting Trump moving forward from guns. And here we are, a potential false flag in the works, Iran, an assassination attempt, not buying it for 1 second, nor are you, of course. So here we are, focused on guns. He's got a new security detail, again, focused on guns. Here they are, wishing to blame Iran, looking for any excuse to go in and do immense harm to Iran, when they were very measured in their response to what's happening over in Gaza at the moment. Some would argue that is not the case, but I would argue based on what they would have us believe that is the case. And here we are. They have a significant amount of drones and technology that they're working on at the moment. I would suggest that's exactly what they should be looking out for, and that's why Trump shouldn't be going out in public at the moment.
Well, look, I've said that too. I believe no more outside rallies whatsoever at all. I think you have to do things interior only. And honestly, I would put him behind plexiglass, behind bulletproof glass, so people can still see him. But if, God forbid, there's somebody in the crowd that wants to take a shot at him, they can't hit him. I would have it to where he's backed up. There's absolutely nobody behind him. And I'll go a step further to say that President Trump should deny the U.S. Secret Service protection. And so should RFK Jr. I believe neither one of them should use the United States Secret Service protection. They ought to go private and have their own private security.
I agree. I think it's the way of the future, that you get the allocated an amount of money and you get to hand pick your own people, especially when it comes to, and I'm going to say it again because I was about, diversity hire, token hire. You get to pick the best people for the job. It's your life at stake, and you should be the one picking those who are going to defend you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you have this regime in Washington that has said all of these horrific things about this man. They've called him everything in the book. They've tried to impeach him not once. They've tried to impeach him a second time. They tried to frame, collusion on him, all of these different things. And now, of course, you have the lawfare, right? You have the litigation and the indictments and everything else. Thankfully, they're all falling apart as well. And as Tucker Carlson said a few months back, if they can't get you, through lawfare, they can't get you to stop and this and that, what else is left? And so if anyone thinks that this is just a lone gunman type situation, I don't believe that they're really looking as far and as deep as they need to.
I agree. And let's face it, as of yesterday, almost all of the lawfare has disappeared. So now they have no choice. Tucker Carlson picked it. Mate, now you have a history of picking it. I'd like you, in the next 2 minutes, if you can, to predict the next 3 months of what's going to happen with his political run and in politics in general in the US.
Well, back in 2020, when I was being censored as heavy as I've ever been, I actually said back then that the 2020 election would be Trump or death. And of course, I was ridiculed. I was attacked, mercilessly for saying that. And what I meant was the death of our First Amendment, the death of our Second Amendment, the death of our freedom, our liberty, our prosperity, all of that. I said that is how important 2020 is. I also said that I was never going to make any more predictions because of the fact that they stole the election in 2020. So to give you an idea, here's what I would say, and here's what I would hope and pray. I would hope and pray that the American people can finally realize that A, Trump is not Hitler. B, Trump is not a threat to the country. He's not a threat to anything else. He kept his promises. And more importantly, he was willing to take a bullet for the country that he loves. And I think that is going to resonate throughout the entire country here in America. And I think that he's going to win the election. Now, again, I'm not going to predict it to the point where I'm 100% sure and positive because, again, it's not who votes, it's who counts them. They've got these crooked machines. They've got all these different things that they can do, and they can plug them into the internet and all that. My book exposes all of that. It goes through all of that as well, preserving liberty. And so I try to be careful now because I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I mean, look what they did in 2020.
Josh Bernstein, I think you're terrific. I love that you go out on a limb. You have done historically. And, mate, like myself, I found myself without a job in commercial radio because I continue to speak the truth, to say, to predict. And, mate, we need people like you in the media. Of course, for those who would like to follow Josh, you can do that on his website, jbushow.com. And I would implore that you do so. Josh Bernstein, thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, also just pre-order the book, Preserving Liberty, on Amazon. You will literally have audible gasps when you read the content in that book.
Mate, be prepared is what I say, and absolutely do it. No more heads in the sand. We can't be ostriches. Get out, get the book. And Josh Bernstein, thank you for the time. Coming up after the break, TNT.
Hey, Josh Bernstein here, America's favorite bald badass. Did you know that Bill O'Reilly charges $6.95 a month to see his content? Or how about the Blaze TV, who charges $10 a month? Or you could always subscribe to the Ben Shapiro podcast at $12 a month. But if you are looking for the best value and the most hardest hitting news, you've come to the right spot. Because here at JoshBernsteinUncensored.com, we drop the most jaw-dropping stories 7 days a week, starting at only $3 a month. So please head on over to the new releases tab, become an exclusive member of the Badass Nation, and join the fight to save this country with one of America's most hated, feared, and censored conservative voices. Remember, if it's banned on social media, you'll find it here. God bless.